Hi everybody, welcome to our podcast, The Secret Diary of Marie.Jenkins 47 Plus. And today we've got the fantastic Gary Watkins. Hiya Gary, how are you?
Fantastic, Gary Watkins. Oh, I'm blushing. I'm very well indeed. I'm enjoying our sunshine we have today.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Let's hope this is the start of our extended summer.
May long it continue. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we've got a lot to get through today. I've had a number of conversations with you about what you do, and there's so many different areas of IT that you can help businesses with. So tell me a bit more about who you are and what is your business?
So I'm the managing director of a company called Q6IT. We're what's called a managed service provider, and it's just a very glamorous way of saying that we do IT. We predominantly do B2B. We look after companies' IT right from cloud services, so things like email, websites, backups, all that sort of stuff, and we remotely manage their systems. So in essence, we become their, if you like, internal IT department. So if they get problems, they call us up. They want a solution, they call us up. They want backup, they call us up. If they want hardware, they can call us up. They want training, they can call us up. So pretty much an all-encompassing, your own in-house IT department, but obviously external.
Okay. So I remember when we spoke before, um, you said that you Q6IT have worked a lot within sort of education sector, but I also know you had a career previously within education. Is that right?
This is true, yeah. I mean, we deal with business and education, but my background is education. I spent, I think, worked out earlier 17 years in education. I guess my IT career started when I was relatively young, but my first proper job in IT was working for Kidderminster College on what was called the computer coach, which was a fantastic experience in that we fitted out a coach with IT equipment and an interactive whiteboard. And then we travel around to the community halls and we would spend an hour or two at each community, getting people on, training them up, be it schools, be it pensioners or housewives and things like that. Get them on the coach, get them in front of their laptops. We do some training, and then we pack it all up and we go on to the next village hall. So that's where it's kind of started for me, really, and that was great. I really enjoyed that. Then I moved on from there to a secondary school called Wolverley High School, as it was at the time. It's now called Wolverley Church of England Secondary School, who are one of our clients, which is fantastic. And I was the network manager there. Spent 6 years fixing all their problems. Moved on to an academy in Great Bar. So it was at high school, Dartmouth High School, as it was then, and it was migrating into Q3 Academy. So we had a massive £30 million brand new building.
Wow.
2 million of that was IT, and they said, Gary, come and do our IT for us, which was a fantastic experience to bring the team on, to train up the team and have what was really cutting edge technology in a brand new building was amazing. We did that. Then I moved on. I went back to Kidderminster College again.
Yeah.
We fixed all their problems, got their team up and running. And then some things happened around them getting taken over or merged with another college group. And I decided to move on and did a few other things, but then decided to start up Q6IT. And in the last 4 years, it's just gone from strength to strength, So yeah, it's good, really good.
Fantastic. So you've got real sort of insight as to how schools and colleges and things use their IT equipment then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I became a governor at two schools as well. My children's primary school, I was a governor there, and I was a governor at Q3 Academy as well. So you get to see sort of from both sides, right at the coal face, if you like, seeing how how IT or how technology is being used, and maybe what it can be used for, and see people trying it and going, well, that's not quite working. Let's tweak it. Let's improve it. Yeah, that's not working so well, and seeing that side of it, but also seeing the other side of it, which is not always the bit that people see as a governor or as part of the SMT team, to say, actually, what are the financial restrictions? What are the time restrictions? What realistically can we do here? that has the best chance of working. And sometimes it's nice, and Q3 Academy were fantastic for this. They would really stop and go, that's really kind of left of center. Let's go and try something a bit different, because they
Yeah.
were fortunate. They had the finances at the time to be able to do that. So to see some real innovation coming through was very, very good. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, and I can imagine, it's changing all the time now, even more so than ever before.
And this is certainly one of the challenges. I've got a lot of respect for the IT teams in schools, because they don't have a lot of resources. If anybody's starting out in IT, it's a great place to start, because
Yeah,
there's so much technology in there, and you've got to look after so much of it. You can't outsource a lot of things because of financial restraints and things like that. So you've really got to get your head down and figure these things out. But the speed of change, not only for the IT team, but for the staff as well,
yeah,
that's certainly something that we need to consider. That traditionally a teacher would create their lesson plan, and that lesson plan would stick for at least 12 months. They probably get away 3, 4, 5 years with that lesson plan. But with the advent of technology and a push towards sort of cloud learning and things like that, they've got to learn the technology. They've got to be entertaining. They've got to translate, if you like, their paperwork, their paper lesson plan into something digital that is entertaining.
yeah,
So they've got to
yeah,
be entertainers, they've got to be educators, and they've got to be techie type people as well as all the other restraints that things like Ofsted and things like that bring along to them. Um, and with it changing so quickly, they really do have their hands full.
yeah. The schools are going through huge transformation. I think as a result of lockdown and how it impacted on schools, we've all got a greater sort of appreciation, if you like, for teachers. But I think, we just need to be a bit more patient with that innovation timescale, because a lot of them will have to retrain, and that's a fantastic opportunity, isn't it? But yeah, it's interesting times. But I want to take you back. Um, so many years ago, when you was at school, when you were a lad, what was your experience like?
Oh, crikey. This is, I was bullied at school, is the honest answer. Certainly at primary school. I wasn't what you might call a bright student, is the honest answer. I certainly remember when we had in primary school the first BBC micro computer, just the one in the hallway on a little trolley. They roll in and out, things like that. I just wanted to be stuck in front of that thing. That just give me that. And then yeah, so my experience of primary school wasn't great. Went up to secondary school, more computers, so I was a little bit happier. Got on with most people and things, and it was okay. It was okay. Admittedly, I got into what was then the sort of fourth and fifth year. I don't know what grade that is now, to be honest. And I was fortunate enough, to then sort of realize where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do things. I became, head boy at the time and head of the chess team, and just
Wow.
started to sort of grow and things like that as well. But certainly, yeah, more and more computers. Yeah, it was great. So I, re- I enjoyed the last few years at school, was the honest answer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
It sounds like IT and tech has always been in your blood then. Has that come from a family history of tech, or?
No, not really. My dad was a butcher. My mum was a butcher, so completely not. I think it came from a love of we're talking early 80s here, of course,
Yeah,
and having cassette decks come in, and I was taking these things apart. I'm not
yeah.
very good at putting them back together, to be honest. But I'm like, how does this work? How does this work? What is that technology? This, that, and the other. So having that fascination with new stuff that was happening, and wanting to know how it worked. And I went from school and did electronics at college. So that followed right through. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So
Problem solving. That's what it is.
yeah, I was going to say, and it's having that sort of inquisitive mind, isn't it, to find out how things work, and it's something that I think in schools now children are being encouraged to sort of ask more questions about how things work, and there's a big push on engineering and STEM careers for pupils and things. Now, how can you see the whole future of IT sitting in schools? Can you see that things are changing? Because I know a lot of people are moving towards sort of cloud-based solutions and that type of thing. What's your view on how things are going to evolve?
Well, COVID has certainly escalated the whole online learning thing. I certainly know. I mean, when I first got into education, it was a thing then, but there was a certain amount of resistance to it. The technology hadn't fully evolved then, and it's still evolving now, of course. The resources weren't out there in the same way. The teachers were literally having to create resources themselves. Well, now you can buy into these resources
Yeah,
and almost already kind of made for you and things like that. But now with COVID and the restrictions that have been put in place, I think it's forced people to start using it more
yeah,
and maybe become more comfortable with it. Because I certainly know um, from being at the coalface, if you like, there is a resistance to it because you know in the main, teachers love being sat up in front of the class, teaching the class, seeing the interaction from the students. Yeah, I'm getting that right. I'm not getting that right. To
yeah.
suddenly not getting that sort of same feedback is quite a challenge for them. But I think COVID has I said, made people do it, and they've gone, actually this is okay. Seeing how these things can work now, the online learning, the way that even the school is developed, where they're looking at going away from desktop computers and going, students, here's a laptop, this
Okay.
is yours, bring it with you every day. We plug it into the Wi-Fi or whatever, we can take it home, so it's always with them, so they're always learning. And we're learning about attention spans. The attention span of children's got a lot smaller these days as well. So how can we either cram that sort of that normal hour long lesson into a much shorter period of time, to be quite
Yeah.
honest with you. But bearing in mind that the children are in front of their computers for longer as well, how do we keep them entertained and educated using technology? I think there's a slight risk in technology for technology's sake. And I think we have
Okay.
to be very, very aware of that. There's a new technology, let's use it. And I've certainly been involved in some of that. Certain teachers wanted iPads. Great, let's get iPads. They got the iPads in, they're going, what do we do with these now? you know so we have to be careful of things like that as well. And certainly with my children, my youngest daughter left school last year. She's now on a college course and she's spending a lot of time in front of the computer, and it's almost too much, where maybe we start getting headaches and we're not moving in the same way. So we need to be very conscious of what's happening with that as well. But certainly that teacher's role of being the entertainer and educator remotely, and this probably isn't going to be the last time we're going to see this sort of pandemic, so we need to prepare ourselves for that.
Yeah.
And the technologies are coming along now to make this a lot easier, certainly for internal departments, where, if I give you an example, um, there's been a school, I think they had 850 laptops. Now, what would happen there to configure those laptops? They've got a team of IT people that go, right, we need to sit in front of each one of these
Yeah.
and configure. That would take a huge amount of time. Where you've got something, some Microsoft now called Autopilot, where basically the laptop gets sent straight to the student as a brand new laptop. They open it up and then it configures itself straight away without any intervention from the IT department or hands-on intervention from the IT department. So we're speeding the process along for things like that and making it a lot more convenient for IT,
Well,
certainly.
okay. So is that the type of thing that you do with schools? Is helping them with this whole how they set up their IT systems or review and refine them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what we like to see ourselves as is more. Not, we're not trying to take over their IT department. They're on the ground. They're doing the work. Training is an issue for them because releasing them, teachers as well, but IT staff as well, releasing them from their day-to-day job and training them up, it's quite an expensive thing and time consuming thing. So we say, well, tell you what, let's be your second or third line support. If you've got a question, give us a shout. If it's something we can help out with, or something we can advise with, or we can see other schools have already got it,
Yeah.
or doing something best practice, we can help them with that as well as licensing. We're Sophos Silver partners, so Sophos antivirus, very, very popular in schools, arguably the best antivirus solution that's out there. Impero licensing, which is a classroom management software for a teacher to manage a classroom remotely now, of course, so they can see
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they're doing, making sure that the students' welfare and well-being is all taken care of within the software as well. So we provide the licensing for that also.
Yeah. Ah, okay. So, I mean, this is all fairly new to me. I mean, in April we interviewed a guy called Anthony Adams who has a platform called Careers Calendar, and that's specifically set up for schools to help them with their online provision and things. And he sort of said to me that potentially their business is 5 years early, it's an evolving feast, all of this new technology, but it is fascinating because ultimately the pupils that are there, this is what they're going to be using out in industry. So it's really good that it's getting integrated at this point, I think. But yeah, it's interesting times in education.
It's very interesting. I mean, to be fair, education is always interesting. As I said, I haven't been in it for 17 years. It is always evolving. There's always something. There's the politics side of it, and then there's the financial side of it. But being on the ground and actually doing it, I've got a lot of respect for schools and staff, not only teaching staff. I mean, it was always an issue, and it's got much better. But teaching assistants and the admin staff as well, they do a lot of work in the background supporting teachers and things like that as well. So the whole community of education is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, teaching assistants they're just so valuable, especially for children with sort of special education needs as well, aren't there? And, with well-being such a hot topic at the moment, some pupils may struggle with their own mental health and things at the moment. So, those teaching assistants or the Senkos or whatever, they're really coming into their own at the moment during this pandemic. So yeah, I think we've all learned to appreciate what a fabulous job that they do. So let's talk a bit more about the IT side of things. So what's been the most rewarding? Can you recall a time that's been most rewarding for you?
Yeah, I mean, certainly going beyond my normal job as a network manager or a head of IT, getting involved as a governor, seeing those sort of things. But I think probably the most rewarding, interestingly, was when we're at Q3 Academy, the support staff were asked to get involved with the students more. So we'd have, I forget what it's called now, but we'd have an hour in the morning where as admin staff, we take a group of 12 students, for example, and teach them in our subject or a subject that we wanted to. So I've got a background in coaching, in life coaching and things like that. So I take this group of 12 students to one side for an hour once a week, and we get them involved and we get them doing stuff and maybe changing the way that they think and how to ask questions properly and things like that. And I can see where teachers are coming from, to see these little sparks go off in these students' heads, they go, ching, got that. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good idea. I've not done that. And create that I love that. Yeah, I really do. And although it makes you feel old when these children come up to you in the street and go, "Oh, there's sir. Oh, remember so and so, sir." That's a real ego trip, and it's a nice buzz, and you just hope that they've done something with it and you've done your bit. So yeah, so that was good. I think probably one of the best things I did was the Q3 Academy build. That was a big turning point for me with regards to career and really being there at the very beginning, the foundations of a new school, to
Yeah.
build it where you want it, was very good. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so rewarding. Like you said, getting those light bulb moments from those
Mm.
kids, or seeing their spark of sort of interest and sort of what inspires them. You can understand why so many people are moving into that sort of career in working with children more, because it.
And it can be very challenging. It can be very emotional as well. I certainly know, at one of the schools I was at, where we'd have a student come in, and I'd be asked to mentor a student,
Yeah,
and that was nice. And this lad just came to me that had anger issues and was swearing a lot. But actually, when you speak to him, he's very good at poetry and things like that, and he liked that sort of thing. And then we set up what was called, it wasn't a Mars, maintenance and repair skills. It was an outside task. So what they would do was, going away from IT slightly, but we'd set up a little garden for them. So they'd be
yeah,
very hands-on. You could see that in the classroom, that wasn't his thing to be in the classroom, but to be outside building a wall and doing some gardening and helping out with the animals, click, this lad's
yeah,
just suddenly changed. And
yeah.
to see that as well is also very rewarding. So to be able to identify what gets these kids going and actually what doesn't work for them is really important.
That's a really good point, isn't it? Because children have different learning styles, don't they? And it goes back to, like you were saying, about teachers having to be entertainers and things like that for the online material, and it's finding different ways to get their learning styles so that that can embed the learning. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
And when you've got a class of 30 students, where
Yeah,
you've got potentially, what was it, 5 different types of learning styles, that is a particular challenge. Yeah,
yeah,
it really.
yeah, yeah. I can imagine. I can imagine. And that's why, like you said about the gardening side of things and going out and doing hands-on work, that's just as valuable in today's society, especially for sort of, understanding where your food comes from, growing your own. There's lots of that and that around now. So I think, it's good if we can get that balance right between, like you said, not technology for technology's sake, but finding that balance between technology that helps us and improves our lives, as well as the hands-on stuff as well. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a bit more about who inspires you, Gary.
Oh, wow. It's going to sound corny. A lot of things inspire me. When you do stop and you do listen to what's going on and what people are saying, you take all these little bits. Um, it'd be very difficult to pin it down to one person. I mean, if I look at my life coaching, as a big American life coach called Tony Robbins, and I've always been very inspired by that guy, a genius in the whole sort of psychology of how we work and getting the best out of people and ourselves. If I look in education, it was probably a guy called Tim Mason. He'll probably hate me saying this, but he was the vice principal at Kidderminster College, and he really challenged me to the next degree, because I consider myself a fairly forward thinker and a resolution thinker, in that I can see, a bit like chess, you look 3-4 sort of moves ahead. Well,
Yeah.
he would push me to 7-8 moves ahead, and he'd really make me think, okay, what's the budget? What do we use this? Where do we use this? How can we use it? What's the logistics around this? And he'd really kind of push me. And his love of education, and bear in mind, he's not a teacher.
All
Um,
right. Okay.
yeah, his love of education and how people and wanting to help in his community. He did some amazing things for Kidderminster College. He's retired now, but he challenged me sometimes. I hated it, but you look back at it and you go, thank you, did. Yeah. So to be challenged, to do things and get them wrong, and to either put them right or learn from it,
Yeah.
yeah, that is absolutely critical. I think a lot of children miss out on that, to be quite honest with you. I think, we need to be teaching these kids how to fail forward. Um, And I've seen more of that, to be fair, recently.
Yeah.
Certainly with my kid just having come through school. Um, and I think Wolverley High School is a fantastic school. I mean, yes, I work there, but to see the work they're doing now is absolutely awesome. So yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. So you've got lots of talents, Gary. So you run IT, you a life coach, and I'm just thinking back to what we were just saying about the balance between tech and sort of hands-on stuff. You also train dogs, am I right?
It's a little side passion of ours. Yeah, we've got working dogs, so we train. But it's yeah. Well, one of the challenges of being in IT, and we were saying this earlier about children being in front of the computers for so long. I'm in front of this computer for too many hours in a day, to be honest with you. So to get out with my dogs and do something that's out in the country a bit as well, and understanding how dogs work and understanding how people train their dogs and helping them train their dogs, it's the same sort of thing. How do I get enjoyment from it, and
Yeah,
asking good quality questions.
yeah.
So yeah, they all interlink. It's all part of this life journey that we're on, isn't it?
Yeah, and so many people have had dogs through lockdown, and they say, I mean, I can completely testament to the fact that my Springer Spaniel, he just brings me joy every time I look at him, and it's a massive positive for people's well-being. So, do you run training courses for new dog owners? I'm just wondering how it works.
Yeah, it's our little weekend thing we do, or every other weekend. And at this time of year, we'll do one evening a week where we get people to come along with their Springer Spaniels. It's predominantly working dogs, so
Yeah,
Labradors, flat coats, HPRs. We're big Spaniel people. We've got 7 cockers and whatever here, because they're such a fantastic breed. When you look at a dog and you want a dog to be an example to a human, I think a cock or a spring is a great example, because they're loads of love, loads of fun. They work hard when they need to. They love life. What a great example.
yeah,
So yeah, we do. Yeah, we do some weekend courses for various people that want to work their dog, or maybe don't want to work their dog, but they want to play to the dog's instinct. Because you might have a working dog. Let's say you've got a cocker spaniel. That dog, in some respects, needs to work. It might not be on birds or
yeah.
on rabbits, but it might be on a dummy or something like that. There's one making a.
As if we prompted it.
So it's not. No, it's okay. But yeah, and that's just a passion. That's just a passion of ours that we love doing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. As a Springer Spaniel owner, I completely agree with everything you said. I might be a little bit biased, but yeah, I completely understand. Gary, it's been fantastic to speak to you today. Just out of interest, if people want to find Q6IT, what do they do? How do they get in touch with you?
Sure, all the normal places. We're on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn. Our website is www.q6it.co.uk. That's the letter Q and the number 6, it.co.uk. Or you can email me, gary@q6it.co.uk. The telephone number's there. And yeah, we love to hear from people. If it's just a chat and you want us to help out, great. Or if we can, even better, we can get involved with what you're doing. Yeah, we're here to help. Simple as that.
Fantastic. And I heard some really lovely things about you from Alan C. Clark recently,
Oh, bless it.
where he
Yeah.
said you was helping him set up his whole tech setup at home because of obviously working in COVID. So it's really nice when you get those word of mouth recommendations. So fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure, Gary. I know that you and your wife Jo work in the business over. Is it in Bromsgrove you're based? So you're a
We're
Worcestershire.
Kidderminster.
You're
Kidderminster, yeah.
Kidderminster, sorry. Yeah, so you're a. Is that classed as Worcestershire or is that Wye
It certainly
Forest?
is, yeah. Yeah, it's the Wire Forest, but it is Worcestershire, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Gary. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Great. Thank you for your time. Lovely to chat with you, and we'll catch up again with you soon.
We absolutely will. Thank you, Gary.
Take care. Bye.